dive into a magical love story that crosses worlds and time. In today's recap, we're exploring the unforgettable 2016 series, Legend of the Blue Sea, a tale of a mysterious mermaid and a genius con artist whose fates are deeply intertwined. Welcome to International Movie Recap, where we bring your favorite movies and series to life in just minutes. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment for more exciting recaps coming your way.
Three men disguised as elevator repairmen broke into a trillion-dollar corporation, but as soon as they entered, they were stopped by security. The man in the front only needed to use one look. Then he opened the lighter in his hand and immediately hypnotized the security guard. Then the group of three split into two directions. The team leader and his assistant, disguised as prosecutors, easily approached the target. On this side, the hacker in the group hacked the red light system and controlled the direction, making it difficult for the real prosecutor to find a way to cross the street. On this side, the assistant quickly asked the target to go out to eat first. While they were leaving, they discussed cooperation. At this time, team leader Jun Jae suggested an extremely beautiful archipelago in the Mediterranean. The target was quickly trapped. The three people with money split into three different places to go on vacation. When Jun Jae just got on the plane, he immediately pretended to be a flirtatious doctor to flirt with the flight attendant. The flight attendant said that someone said there were still mermaids here. Legend has it that mermaids were almost extinct and the only ones left were gathered here. At this time, a mermaid dived deep into the sea following a glowing object. It was a jade ring. Sim Chung surfaced. She looked at it under the sunlight to see it more clearly. Meanwhile, Jun Jae had arrived and sat alone on the beach. The sea began to shake violently. The volcanic eruption shook the entire sea, which accidentally affected Sim Chung. Luckily, Sim Chung did not die but was washed ashore by the waves. Because this was the first time Sim Chung had seen the human world, Sim Chung was accidentally attracted to the things in front of her. Sim Chung was startled and looked down, but she did not see her tail. Instead, there was a pair of long, smooth white legs. When Sim Chung jumped into the water, the fishtail immediately appeared. At that time, Jun Jae woke up and went out to get some fresh air. When Jun Jae went back to bed to continue sleeping, he was startled awake by a loud noise. Jun Jae entered the room and saw nothing but messy clothes. When he was arranging the clothes, a pair of legs appeared in the closet. Jun Jae bravely went to check and discovered a girl. Jun Jae saw her wearing his favorite shirt and got angry. Sim Chung saw that and went on the defensive. Jun Jae couldn't help but shake Sim Chung hard. Sim Chung saw that outside was her hometown. She was so excited that she immediately wanted to run out, but Sim Chung crashed into the glass and fainted. Jun Jae took the opportunity to call the police and tied Sim Chung up. When Jun Jae saw Sim Chung's hand clench, he thought Sim Chung had stolen his things, so Jun Jae used force to pry the cherry out. Jun Jae collapsed on the spot. The police quickly came to escort Sim Chung away. Only then did Jun Jae feel at ease lying on the sofa, surfing his phone. But when he saw the photo of Sim Chung wearing a jade necklace, he stopped. On the way to the police station, Sim Chung was taken to a completely different world. Jun Jae quickly contacted his assistant Nam-do, asking Nam-do to help him appraise the bracelet. Meanwhile, Jun Jae went on a date with the flight attendant. While the two were flirting, Nam-do sent the appraisal results. He didn't expect the bracelet to be worth over 6 billion won, so Jun Jae went straight to the police station to bail Sim Chung out. Jun Jae's attitude was completely different from this morning. Jun Jae took the initiative to shake hands and apologize, but Sim Chung didn't understand the other person's sincerity. Jun Jae was about to take the bracelet, but Sim Chung raised her fist, which made Jun Jae a little scared. Jun Jae knew that Sim Chung was not someone who was easily fooled, so he changed his plan to take her shopping. But when Jun Jae told Sim Chung to try on the shoes, she poked them with both hands and danced. Unable to bear it any longer, Jun Jae helped her put the shoes on her feet. Then, Jun Jae wanted Sim Chung to try on the dress, but she put it on her head and walked out. Seeing that, Jun Jae immediately dragged Sim Chung inside. After Sim Chung was helped to dress, she felt she was really beautiful and did some funny things. But when she came out, Sim Chung couldn't find Jun Jae anywhere. Sim Chung had to go sightseeing by herself. When Jun Jae came back, Sim Chung was nowhere to be seen. He was confused and looked for her everywhere. When Jun Jae saw her sitting in a corner sucking on a candy, he couldn't help but scold her. Next, Jun Jae invited Sim Chung to eat. Sim Chung liked to put her hands directly into her mouth rather than using chopsticks. Sim Chung also ate a lot. She could eat 10 large plates of food at once. Sim Chung even used both hands to hold 2 cakes to eat. When Jun Jae felt the opportunity had come, he started to act. He replaced the 6 billion necklace with a sparkling stone necklace. When Jun Jae achieved his goal, he tricked Sim Chung into a crowded place and told her to sit here and wait for him. Although Jun Jae knew that he would never return, Sim Chung naively sat and waited for Jun Jae's figure. Meanwhile, Jun Jae packed his luggage to prepare to go somewhere else. Sim Chung waited until the shopping mall closed. Jun Jae was dropped driving. When he stopped at a red light, he remembered Sim Chung's antics. Although Sim Chung was kicked out and humiliated, she still waited for Junjae. Junjae finally came back and held Sim Chung's hand. Although he said goodbye to her, Junjae still let Sim Chung get in the car. When he asked her if she wanted to go home or to a hotel, he was completely helpless. Junjae had no choice but to take her to his room. When the lights turned on, everything was so splendid that it slowly appeared. The scene overwhelmed Sim Chung. While Junjae was leisurely watching the computer, Sim Chung suddenly rushed from behind. Because this was the first time Sim Chung had seen such a modern computer, she grabbed it and shook it to see if anything fell out. Sim Chung enjoyed exploring the computer and continued to watch all the movies in it. The next morning, Junjae did not expect her to stay up all night watching movies. He went to get the computer back, but Sim Chung did not let him. At that moment, Nam-do called to report that the Moonjeon group was angry and started to act. Their target was Junjae. Junjae did not hesitate to hang up and go pack his luggage. Less than a minute later, Junjae returned. The gangsters had arrived and were searching for him everywhere. When they found Junjae's room and rushed in, there was only a timed bomb left inside. When everyone was lying on the ground in fear, they realized it was a fake. Junjae and Sim Chung had escaped. Behind them were the thugs chasing them. When the two ran up to the building, they were caught up. Although Junjae and Sim Chung were running away, they looked like a couple walking on a beautiful day. After the two lost most of the thugs, they went down the stairs but were blocked by reinforcements from the thugs. Junjae told Sim Chung to hide in a corner. Then Junjae single-handedly beat up 3 big thugs. Meanwhile, Sim Chung took down the entire gang behind her. Sim Chung rushed forward like a professional boxer. The things Sim Chung learned from the computer were all applied, which made it easy for her to handle each one of them. Unfortunately, the thugs had guns. Junjae took out a lighter to hypnotize them, but the leader had a strong will. Junjae was finally captured. Unexpectedly, Sim Chung chased after them on a bicycle. Sim Chung rode her bicycle even faster than a moving car. When the thugs saw Sim Chung blocking the road, they rushed forward but were stopped by Junjae. Junjae drove his car head-on into a telephone booth and got out of the car to run away. When everyone chased each other to the maze garden, they started playing hide-and-seek with each other. At this time, Sim Chung and Junjae were discovered. Sim Chung did not hesitate to rush forward and let each of them fly into the sky. Then Sim Chung took Junjae's hand and led him straight to the exit. This made Junjae surprised and praised Sim Chung. Because Junjae's card and phone were both lost, he had to ask for help from a nearby friend. After Junjae contacted his friend, he and Sim Chung went to a church. When the two entered the church, Junjae immediately cooperated with his friend to pretend to be a gentle monk. Then Junjae introduced Sim Chung as his wife. Because of the accident a few years ago, Sim Chung could not speak. Sim Chung immediately opened her mouth to say hello, making Junjae embarrassed. It turned out that Sim Chung could not speak, but since yesterday she has been cultivating through the computer, Sim Chung has become fluent in human language. Then Junjae went to the church to play a song, which helped Junjae's friend collect a lot of donations. At night, the bishop took Sim Chung and Junjae back to their resting place. At this time, she was curious about the love in Junjae's song lyrics. The next morning, Junjae said goodbye to his friend. Junjae donated money to poor children. Then Junjae took Sim Chung to the place called the End of the World. Junjae said that his mother left here without saying a word. Since then, Junjae hated leaving without saying goodbye. At that time, Sim Chung discovered his mother's message. After Junjae read it, he was able to let go of his sadness. Suddenly, the thugs appeared. Junjae now had a gun in his hand, but when he faced a whole battery of AK guns, he immediately ran away. The chase continued until the two were cornered on the shore, but Sim Chung didn't think much. She held Junjae's hand and jumped into the endless deep sea. In the vast water, Sim Chung transformed into a mermaid and swam to Junjae. Every moment of her appeared in his mind. Sim Chung and Junjae kissed each other. Because Sim Chung wanted to hide her identity, she kissed Junjae to erase her image from his memory. After Junjae woke up, he realized that all his previous memories were his. Only the 6 billion won bracelet remained. It was the connection that helped Junjae and Sim Chung fall in love. Junjae then quickly returned to Seoul. Sim Chung was underwater, looking at his plane with longing. When he arrived, Junjae saw that his assistant had lost contact, but now Nam-do was coming out of Junjae's house. Junjae went crazy and rushed to strangle his opponent, only to find out that the Moonjeon's group thought Junjae was dead. So they turned to his teammates. Because Nam-do and Tae-oh were being hunted, they went to Junjae's house to take refuge. When Nam-do asked about the 6 billion ring, Junjae knew nothing. Meanwhile, Sim Chung said goodbye to her sisters and started looking for her prince. At night, she looked up at the moon and remembered what Junjae said, that he would take Sim Chung to Seoul and they would watch the fireworks at the Han River together. So Sim Chung swam straight to Seoul. 3 months later, the men were drinking in the middle of the sea when suddenly a woman emerged from the water. She asked for directions to Seoul, confusing the three of them. After days of non-stop swimming, Sim Chung swam from Spain to Jeju Island. island. The middle-aged volunteers were picking up trash along the beach when they saw Sim Chung coming up from the sea. Sim Chung approached and asked for directions to Seoul. Coincidentally, these people were also planning to go there, so they kindly let Sim Chung go with them. When Sim Chung got out of the car and stood in the middle of the bustling crowd, she was extremely surprised by the scene before her eyes. On the way, everyone she met asked about Junjae. Because Sim Chung hadn't eaten for several days, she craved fish cakes, but she didn't have any money, so she was scolded and chased away by the owner. Sim Chung didn't know that Junjae had just passed by her. While Sim Chung was wandering on the street, she came across a group of students who were robbing a girl of money. After learning, she immediately practiced. Then Sim Chung continued wandering on the street, and she again encountered a group of female students who were bullying others. She ran to advise them, but failed. Sim Chung had to roll up the newspaper and threaten them. The female students were scared and ran away when they saw that. The mastermind was called by her mother to give her a lecture. That mother's name was Jin Ha. She instructed her daughter and then went into the elevator. Nearby, Sim Chung was picking up old things and she chose a coat. A nearby beggar helped Sim Chung. Sim Chung used the money he was given to take a bus to the 63 building, which was where Junjae had mentioned to watch the fireworks. Unfortunately, Sim Chung got lost in the aquarium. Sim Chung was hungry when he saw a school of fish swimming in the water, so Sim Chung happily jumped into the water to swim. The next day was Junjae's birthday. He asked the maid Yu Ran to cook a sumptuous meal and bring it to him. He enthusiastically laid out the food on the table. Junjae couldn't refuse, so he tried it. Unexpectedly, it was a familiar taste. It reminded him of the soup his mother made. At this time, Yu Ran cherished the photo with her son, who was taking him to the aquarium. Junjae also remembered and came back here. Sim Chung ate her fill and fell asleep again. The staff discovered her and went to look for her. Visitors saw that she was so beautiful, they thought she was a mermaid, so they took pictures. Junjae's figure suddenly appeared in the crowd. Sim Chung immediately swam after him and called out, but he couldn't hear. The distance between the two of them was only a glass. But why couldn't Junjae recognize Sim Chung? At that time, the staff had discovered Sim Chung. They thought she was a spy, so they chased after her. Junjae suddenly received a message from his friend in Spain. In it was a photo of Junjae with a girl. When Junjae enlarged the photo, he realized that this was the girl just now. Junjae immediately turned back to find Sim Chung. The two met again. When Sim Chung watched him step by step approaching her, she couldn't hold back her tears and remembered that day. Sim Chung gave Junjae a bracelet because she knew he liked it. Sim Chung also confessed her feelings and promised to go find him. Then Sim Chung reluctantly left. Back in the past, a guard reported to the district magistrate that a strange theft had occurred in the villages along the river last night. The clothes and shoes that were drying suddenly disappeared. At that place, a rare pearl appeared. The official also received this news. He immediately knew that it was a mermaid. The maid Hongjiang was very excited when she heard it. The official ordered people to find and kill the mermaid. He wanted to prevent her from finding the county magistrate. Damrio, Hongjiang would spread bad rumors that all the recent natural disasters were caused by a mermaid. And then everything happened as the official predicted. The villagers were scared and rioted. They asked the county magistrate to destroy the mermaid to eliminate the disaster. After Damryong knew that Sehua would come to find him, he always remembered the promise to meet on a snowy day. Despite his elder brother's efforts to beg Damryong, he still rode his horse to the meeting place with Sehua. At this time, under the light snow, Sehua was waiting for Damryong, but the people who came were 3 assassins in black. They started to attack according to the officer's instructions. The slash was immediately blocked by Damryong. After Damryong stabbed the assassin, he swung his sword and turned to look at Sehua. Back to the present, the staff had caught up with Sim Chung. Luckily, Junjae pretended to be a police officer and he successfully took Sim Chung to another place. Junjae immediately asked Sim Chung if she knew him, why did the two meet, and what was her name. Although Junjae asked many questions, Sim Chung just kept silent, leaving him helpless. Outside, Junjae held Sim Chung's hand to continue questioning, but Sim Chung refused to answer. When Junjae left, Sim Chung chased after him. Unfortunately, a car passed by and made Sim Chung lose track of Junjae. Sim Chung went to look for her and met a scammer who was about to take her away. But Junjae appeared again. The scammer unexpectedly met someone more formidable than himself. Junjae only needed to push once to have the other person's wallet in his hand. With no other choice, the scammer obediently left. Then Sim Chung and Junjae were walking together along the Han River. At that time, fireworks suddenly shot up into the sky. Sim Chung didn't know and immediately rushed to hug Junjae tightly because she thought it was a gun. When Junjae saw Sim Chung was scared, he gently told Sim Chung to trust him and opened her eyes. When Sim Chung realized it was fireworks, Sim Chung remembered the promise of the two and happily watched it with Junjae. After the fireworks ended, Sim Chung still wanted to follow, but Junjae didn't let her. In the end, Junjae still agreed to let Sim Chung go with him. He was in the research room pondering over over the mysterious ancient vase. Although the vase was made in the Joseon era, it was decorated with modern patterns. When Namdoo and Tae-oh saw Junjae bringing someone home for the first time, and that person was a girl, they were very surprised. After Junjae cooked noodles for Sim-chung, he took out the bracelet and asked Sim-chung about it. This time, Sim-chung admitted that it was something she gave him. Junjae didn't believe it and asked why she didn't remember anything about her. This question made Sim-chung just bow her head and stay silent. When Sim-chung saw that everyone had a name to call her, she asked Junjae to name her. Because Junjae was too lazy to think, he called her stupid. Unexpectedly, Sim-chung really liked that name. Sim-chung happily went to show it off to Tae-oh, leaving him helpless. Sihi stopped by Junjae's house to celebrate his birthday. Sim-chung slowly walked over, crossed her arms, glared at Sihi, and greeted him. When Sim-chung saw the attractive cake, she was about to eat it when Junjae stopped her. When Sim-chung saw that Sihi's gestures were very gentle, she imitated them. When Sihi returned, she pulled Namdoo out to ask about Sim-chung. When Sihi heard that Sim-chung would stay here for a few days, Sihi immediately got angry. Sihi asked Namdoo to pay attention to Sim-chung. After Sim-chung took a bath, Junjae took her to the attic above his room to sleep. When Junjae went shopping, he accidentally looked at the women's shopping area. Small memories suddenly appeared in Junjae's mind. Junjae was walking home when Namdoo suddenly called. Namdoo told Junjae to stop the car immediately. When Junjae looked closely ahead, he discovered that there were police officers. Namdoo said that his neighbor had just been murdered recently, so Hong police were investigating the case. He was a police officer who always wanted to put Junjae in jail. But right now, Junjae was worried about Sim-chung because she was alone at home, so it was very dangerous. Sim-chung was watching a movie when someone rang the doorbell. It was the murderer, Ma Dae-jong. When Ma Dae-jong was coaxing Sim-chung into letting him into the house, Junjae arrived in time. Dae-jong took advantage of the time when the other police officers arrived and left. Junjae was declaring his papers when Hong police arrived. When Junjae was about to be discovered, Namdoo came to report a false case to save him. When Sim-chung found out that Junjae was injured, she was very worried, but Junjae was still angry. Junjae told her not to open the door for strangers because they were much scarier than sharks. Madame So-hee secretly contacted Dae-jong. She asked him to quickly deal with Junjae. This was accidentally heard by Chi-hyun. Chi-hyun pretended to ask his mother to make him a cake. Then he secretly read Dae-jong's text messages. Then Chi-hyun intentionally dropped his phone into the water, so So-hee could not read the messages anymore. Early the next morning, Si-hee went to Junjae's house. Sim-chung refused to open the gate. Then Sim-chung intentionally let go of her hand, causing Si-hee to fall. When Si-hee found out that Sim-chung and Junjae were home alone together last night, Se-hee immediately asserted her sovereignty. Si-hee declared that she and Junjae would get married and live a happy life together. Sim-chung was so angry that she bit Si-hee's finger and wouldn't let go. While Junjae took Si-hee to catch a taxi, Sim-chung watched TV and knew that if the couple confessed their love to each other on the first snow day, they would be happy forever. When Sim-chung knew that Junjae was coming back, she ran upstairs. Suddenly, Sim-chung smelled a delicious smell and went out to the balcony. Junjae was grilling meat and called Sim-chung to eat. Then Sim-chung was given tea. Then Junjae gave Sim-chung his phone and he showed her how to call him. Junjae also gave Sim-chung a bus ticket and told her to leave. Sim-chung knew that she couldn't stay, so she asked Junjae to promise her one thing, that was to meet each other on the first snow day at Namsan Tower. Junjae had no choice but to let Sim-chung go. After Sim-chung left the house, Junjae immediately turned on the GPS to track where she went and what she did. On the way, Sim-chung stopped by to confide in the fish. Just because Sim-chung wanted to live and be with someone, she swam tens of thousands of kilometers to get here. But in the end, she was still heartlessly chased away by the person she liked. The next day, when Junjae turned on the GPS, he saw Sim-chung going to Gangnam. Junjae followed the GPS to the place and was startled to see Sim-chung working and handing out flyers. But Sim-chung kept handing out flyers, but no one took them, so she was severely scolded by the person who hired her. Junjae was annoyed and called the police to take his car away. Then suddenly, many students came to take the flyers. It turned out that all the students were hired by Junjae. The temperature outside was very low. When Sim-chung was craving for food, a woman came to give her fish cakes. She also put a scarf around Sim-chung's neck, which made Sim-chung very grateful. Then the woman came to receive money from Junjae. Because it was raining, Sim-chung had to take shelter somewhere. The news at this time reported that today would be the first snow of the season. 1. The little girl showed Sim-chung the fastest way to get to Namsan. Junjae was wearing warm clothes to get there. When he arrived at the bus stop, Sim-chung immediately went to Namsan. Junjae's car had just passed by when Sim-chung ran over. Sim-chung was suddenly hit by a car and lay motionless on the spot. The person who got out of the car was Chi-hyun. Junjae had no idea that Sim-chung had had an accident. Junjae went to the meeting point and waited under the first snow of the season. Sim-chung Chung was then taken to the hospital. Junjae waited for a long time but did not see Sim Chung come, so he went home. On the way, Junjae saw Sim Chung's flyer and phone. Junjae immediately sensed that something bad had happened. At the same time, Junjae also remembered the memories with Sim Chung. Junjae was very worried and ran to the hospitals to find Sim Chung. By the time he reached the 10th hospital, Junjae had found Sim Chung. Junjae looked at Sim Chung with pain as she was covered in injuries. When Junjae touched Sim Chung, he felt very cold. Junjae was startled and called someone to check. The nurse panicked and called the doctor because Sim Chung's body temperature was only 29 degrees. The doctor checked again and quickly performed cardiopulmonary shock. When Sim Chung's heartbeat was just a long line, Junjae's emotions were extremely chaotic, but then a miracle suddenly appeared. Sim Chung opened her eyes and saw Junjae holding her hand very tightly. Sim Chung knew that Junjae was worried about her, so she was very happy. Then Namdoo and Teo arrived. Namdoo asked about Sim Chung's condition. Then they went to do the hospitalization procedures for Sim Chung. Nearby, Chi-hun was doing the accident responsibility procedures with the police. Just then Junjae came out and they met. Junjae asked if Chi-hun had hit Sim Chung with her car. Chi-hun said it was just an accident. In the past, when Chi-hun broke Junjae's family photo, Chi-hun also said that it was just an accident. Junjae's father not only did not blame Chi-hun, but he also told Junjae to throw the photo away. Junjae knew that there was no accident here. Junjae could only believe that Chi-hun was following him. Then he stabbed Sim Chung. Junjae was about to leave when his father called. He worriedly asked Chi-hun. After that, the two of them walked home together. Junjae could only watch them from afar. Sim Chung was taken to the dormitory. At mealtime, everyone had their own portion, but Sim Chung was not allowed to eat because she had to starve herself for surgery. Sim Chung felt wronged, so she called Junjae to complain. Although Junjae couldn't help but laugh, he was still cruel to Sim Chung. Junjae told Sim Chung to go to bed, but then Junjae called the doctor to scold her. The next day, Junjae went to the door to see if they had fed Sim Chung. Junjae looked at her eating noodles and felt happy. Sim Chung was eating bananas and walking around when she saw a woman demanding justice for her dead daughter. At that moment, the car carrying the vice president arrived. The vice president stepped out and asked to chase the woman away. Sim Chung could not bear to see this scene. She rushed over, screaming and kicking him, sending him flying away. The doctor in charge was helpless after watching the video. The doctor confirmed that Sim Chung had just broken her leg yesterday, but the vice president did not believe it. The vice president insisted on suing to put her in jail. When Sim Chung left, she saw the woman again. She apologized for bothering Sim Chung. Then she thought about her daughter and cried sadly. When Sim Chung saw the woman in pain, Sim Chung decided to use her ability to help her erase her memories of her daughter. But when the woman thought about every moment with her daughter, she could not bear to forget those beautiful memories. The woman accepted to continue suffering and refused Sim Chung's kindness. Junjae and his teammates watched the video about Sim Chung and were shocked. Namdoo was worried because the vice president was making a big deal out of it. He was determined to sue Sim Chung. The hospital director went on vacation in Hawaii, so his son William would return to inherit. At this time, Junjae disguised himself as William and entered the hospital. Junjae pretended that his phone was out of battery. Junjae borrowed the vice president's phone to call the director. Then Junjae quickly switched the phone to another one. On this side, Namdoo was watching William at the airport. Then Namdoo drove William around Seoul. While everyone was taking Junjae on a tour, Teo hacked into the computer to copy the documents. There was enough evidence of the vice president's crimes. Finally, Junjar used it to threaten the vice president. This time, Junjae wasn't after money. Junjae had two requests for the vice president. The first was that he had to drop the lawsuit against Sim Chung. Next, the deputy director had to apologize to the guard. He also had to hand over evidence that the woman's daughter's death was due to a medical accident. The deputy director promised to take full responsibility for compensation. This made the woman cry with joy. After a few days in the hospital, Sim Chung treated it like her own home. When the doctor saw that Sim Chung had fully recovered, he suggested that Sim Chung could be discharged, but Sim Chung thought that she had been expelled because she ate too much. Junjae came to pick her up and take her home, which made Sim Chung very excited. Because Junjae knew that Sim Chung liked the first snow of the season, he took her to the artificial snow area. While Junjae was waiting for Sim Chung came out with a new look that fascinated him. When Junjae changed Sim Chung's shoes, an unclear memory appeared in his mind, but he thought it was an illusion. When Junjae was teaching Sim Chung to ski, she passed by him but didn't know how to stop, so Junjae had to rush down to catch her. The two rolled around a few times and then lay down laughing heartily. At this time, Junjae asked Sim Chung to say, "I love you," to confirm. Everything around seemed to stop except for the two of them. When Junjae said that, Sim Chung thought he was telling the truth and was very happy. Sim Chung immediately asked Junjae if he had surrendered. Sim Chung told Junjae that someone in Spain had told her those things. Junjae felt that what the other person person said was nonsense. Sim Chung said that the person had held an umbrella, held her hand, and cooked noodles for her. Junjae didn't know that it was her, so she felt jealous. Junjae was angry and couldn't sleep all night. When Junjae called Sim Chung down to confide, he found out that she had been seeing that person recently. Sim Chung had even said, "I love you" to that person. So Junjae was even angrier and sent her to bed. On a deserted road, a car swerved at high speed and crashed directly into the side of the road. Meanwhile, Junjae had a nightmare. The injured person's face looked like the secretary's when he was young, which made Junjae uneasy. Jurong quickly received news that the secretary had gotten into an accident while drunk, which surprised him greatly. So-hee's expression changed when she heard the news. On this side, the kindergarten students were bullying a friend. A little girl was lifted up by Sim Chung, scaring her. The little girl immediately went home to tell her mother. The mother came to demand justice for her daughter, but she was distracted by Sim Chung's beauty. She was completely impressed by Sim Chung's style. At night, Namdoo sneaked into Junjae's room to look for the bracelet. When Namdoo was discovered by Junjae, he revealed that the antique in See-hee's research room belonged to a person named Dam Ryung. Coincidentally, that was also the owner of this bracelet. If that was the case, the value of the bracelet would be more than 6 billion won. The next morning, Junjae went to see Se-hee to learn about the antique that Namdoo mentioned. When Junjae touched the vase and looked at the painting on it, an image of a mermaid came forward to kiss him. Junjae went to the professor to discuss it, and he was advised to go under hypnosis. At the moment, Professor snapped his fingers. A series of memories from his previous life appeared in Junjae's mind. Until Sim Chung's face appeared, Junjae couldn't keep calm and woke up. However, Junjae still thought it was all an illusion. Before Sim Chung went to sleep, she asked Junjae if he liked her. Junjae immediately denied it. Junjae said it was very difficult for him to truly love someone because he thought he would get bored of the other person very quickly. But Sim Chung didn't think so. Sim Chung thought that loving someone was the easiest and giving up that person was the hardest. The next morning, Sim Chung started flirting with Junjae. Sim Chung always clung to Junjae without leaving him for a second. Sim Chung forced Junjae to take him to the library. While the two were whispering happily, a girl came over and gave Junjae a piece of paper. Junjae proudly opened it and saw that he was making noise and made her uncomfortable. Junjae then went to find out about Dam Ryung's life. Junjae knew that she died at the age of 27. Chi-hun was visiting his secretary, and he also wanted to find out a few things about his secretary's accident. When he left, Junjae received a meeting from his secretary, so he left Sim Chung behind and left. Junjae followed the address to the meeting place. Seeing something unusual, Junjae brought a gun and walked in. When Junjae saw something, he immediately thought of Daejong. Daejong followed and disguised himself as a police officer to Junjae's house. Junjae uneasily observed the surroundings. Suddenly, Sim Chung called and said he wanted to see him. That made Junjae worried, so he didn't know that danger was right behind him. When Junjae saw Daejong, he was scared and asked where the secretary was. Daejong did not answer, but directly rushed to hit Junjae. But when Junjae saw Daejong's face, he remembered the face of the official Sunjong. Taking advantage of the moment when Junjae was not alert, Daejong counterattacked, causing Junjae to lose his balance. When Daejong was about to kill Junjae, suddenly a series of car horns rang out outside. Daejong was scared and ran away. It turned out that before Junjae entered, he had called Namdoo. Junjae asked him to call many taxis and honk the horns, thanks to which Junjae was lucky to escape death. After that, Junjae took a taxi to the Han River as quickly as possible. Junjae and Sim Chung did not care about each other's questions. They were only worried about each other's situation. When Sim Chung saw Junjae was injured, she was also determined to let go of her feelings. But this time, Junjae held Sim Chung back. He was about to hold her hand and go home when he suddenly had a pain attack and fainted. This unexpected incident made Sim Chung panic. In his subconscious, Junjae met Dam Ryung. Dam Ryung told him that the fate and karma of the previous life were repeating in this life. Dam Ryung hoped that Junjae would protect Sim Chung from evil people. Then Junjae returned to reality. At this time, Junjae remembered Dam Ryung's words, so he told Namdoo everything. In his dream, Junjae saw himself as Dam Ryung in the Choson period. Namdoo thought it was normal because he had also watched the movie and dreamed that he was a brave general. At that time, at So-hee's house, a delivery person came. Hearing her voice, she knew that the person was Daejong, so So-hee quickly brought him money. When she knew that he had not killed Junjae, she immediately scolded him. At this time, Chi-hun went home, so Daejong had to leave. It was a bit strange, but Chi-hun did not ask much. Chi-hun deliberately mentioned Junjae, but he was immediately lectured by So-hee that only when Junjae did not exist would Chi-hun and his mother be happy like now. The next morning, when the three of them were investigating Daejong together, Chi-hyun called Junjae. Through Chi-hyun's words, Junjae knew that the secretary was seriously injured. When Junjae was about to go to the secretary's place, he discovered that Sim Chung had gone out alone. Junjae was angry angry and scolded his teammates. Then, Junjae looked at Sim Chung's location and went to pick her up. After that, Junjae immediately went to the hospital to visit the secretary. Junjae was sure that the secretary would not drink and drive, but that someone had harmed him. At that time, Jurong also went for a medical examination. The doctor said that Jurong had a corneal injury. If Jurong did not receive timely treatment, he would have to have a corneal transplant. While Sim Chung was talking to Chi Hyun, Jurong went there. At this moment, Junjae opened the door and walked out. He and his father met by chance after 15 years of separation. As the two sat across from each other, Jurong thought about the happy times when father and son were together. Meanwhile, Junjae thought about the time when his father left him sick at home while he went out to eat with another woman and her child. Although Junjae and his father had many things to say to each other, when they talked, they only had conflicts and arguments. When Jurong mentioned the inheritance, Junjae only said that he didn't need anything. Junjae also didn't want to see his father again, and Junjae told him to take care of his health. After saying that, Junjae immediately left without looking back even once. Because Junjae was in a bad mood, he didn't say a word the whole way. When he got home, Junjae even said that if Sim Chung wanted to, he could go. Without Sim Chung here, Junjae was much more comfortable. But when Junjae was lying down, he thought about how he was always alone, which made Junjae feel very lonely. But now there was someone by his side. Sim Chung said that he was a forgetful person, so when he had something on his mind, he should tell her. Junjae asked her again to confirm. Then he suddenly gave Sim Chung a kiss. The next day, Junjae was happier than usual. Junjae woke up early to prepare Sim Chung's favorite dish. Sim Chung learned how to do makeup. At this time, Se-hee stopped by to talk to Junjae. Se-hee said that at a construction site, some relics from the Choson period were discovered, specifically Damryung's old house. At that time, Damryung suddenly woke up, remembering the dream he had just had. Damryung thought of a way to prove to Junjae that he was real. At the construction site, workers continued to discover another relic. On this side, So-hee was secretly preparing medicine for Jurong. She suggested a new secretary to replace the old one, but Jurong wanted to wait for her secretary to wake up. Min-young spent 5 million won on beauty treatments today. She didn't expect to meet someone richer than her. Nam-do spent 9 million a month just to beautify his dog. After he got to know Min-young, he planted a spy in the meeting between the wives. That person spread the news that there was a billionaire named Kim Chae-hee in Korea. Even if he divided his assets among the Korean people, it wouldn't be enough. After that person spread the news, Junjae's group needed to find someone to pretend to be his fiancé. The first candidate was Tae-oh, but he didn't look like a girl at all. Nam-do turned to Sim Chung. Nam-do tricked Sim Chung into playing a drama like the actors on TV. Junjae played the role of a handsome and rich CEO, and Sim Chung played the role of Junjae's fiancé. Their job was to shop in shopping malls for a week. When their target appeared, Junjae hinted that he was in Dubai, which made Min-young understand. When Min-young saw Nam-do, she immediately started a conversation and asked to have a family dinner with them. Nam-do initially pretended to refuse. When Min-young mentioned investing, Nam-do cleverly agreed. The plan easily succeeded halfway. Sim Chung was praised by everyone for her excellent acting. When everyone passed by the teddy bear claw machine, Sim Chung said that the owner here was a scammer, so she tried so hard to get no teddy bears. Min-young thought he was really evil. Se-hee called to meet Junjae at the research institute. This time they discovered another relic, but it was quite strange. Junjae wanted to see it himself first, so he went in alone. Junjae was immediately attracted by a painting. It was a painting of Damryung. The lights suddenly went out, so Junjae had to use a lighter to look at it. The moment he saw Damryung's face, Junjae was surprised because it was his face. Next to the painting was a letter. It turned out that Damryung had drawn his portrait. He wanted to tell Junjae a few things. After that, Damryung asked someone to bring it back to Hanjan. Damryung asked his mother to bury it 10 feet deep in the ground for him. No matter what happened to Damryung in the future, no one was allowed to dig up painting. Junjae asked a series of questions. Who was Damryung after all? Was he Junjae? After reading it, Se-hee was also extremely surprised. Se-hee also wondered if Damryung was Junjae's ancestor. At midnight, Junjae continued to dream about his previous life. Junjae couldn't sleep, so he went out to drink with Nam-do. At this time, Nam-do began to express his doubts about Sim Chung. Nam-do thought that Sim Chung was very strange. Sim Chung was gentle and beautiful, so she wasn't from here. Sim Chung's origin is really mysterious. Sim Chung is a silly girl, but she has a large amount of pearls to sell, and most importantly, it is true that Sim Chung and Junjae met in Spain, but Junjae doesn't remember that. After Junjae heard that, he suspected Sim Chung's identity. The next day, everyone continued to carry out the mission. Nam-do contacted to arrange a meal with Min-young, which made her happy. When everyone greeted each other, Sim Chung asked Min-young's child to play with Juna. When everyone exchanged business cards, Min-young's husband suspiciously called the number on Junjae's business card and someone picked up. Actually, Junjae already knew this, so he asked Tae-oh to wait to pick up the phone. After that, everyone ate and chatted chatted happily. While Junjae was eating rolled eggs, he suddenly remembered the taste of the dishes his mother used to cook. When Yu-ran brought out more eggs, Junjae didn't have time to see her face. Tayo outside was surprised to see Si-hee. Tayo had to go outside to stop Si-hee from entering. Now Tayo knew this was Si-hee's house. With no other choice, Tayo was forced to confess and keep her outside the shop. Then Tayo texted Namdoo. When Namdoo heard the news, he immediately informed Junjae, and then the three of them hurriedly left. Their actions made Min-young and her husband confused. When they got home, Junjae and Namdoo argued about this mistake. Sim-chung asked, but the three of them seemed to avoid it. Sim-chung wondered if Junjae was a bad scammer. Junjae admitted that he scammed others for a living. Sim-chung didn't hide it anymore. Sim-chung said that she was a mermaid. Upstairs, Sim-chung suddenly had a heart attack. Meanwhile, Junjae was looking at the vase with the strange painting. He accidentally recalled part of his memories under the sea. He went upstairs to look for Sim-chung, but couldn't find him. Junjae worriedly went to look for Sim-chung. When Junjae linked the small memories together, all the events of his previous life appeared in his mind again. It was like a fast-forward movie. Junjae knew that Sim-chung had a predestined relationship with him from his previous life. Sim-chung had the ability to use a kiss to erase memories of himself from people's minds. The memories of the two of them in Spain also appeared one by one. When Junjae remembered everything, he ran everywhere to look for Sim-chung, but couldn't find her. Elsewhere, Damrong knew that after the official Sangjong was arrested, he confessed that he was bewitched by a mermaid and was falsely accused of murder. Damrong lost his temper and drew his sword at Sangjong. Damrong cursed him not to be reincarnated. At the same time, Daejong suddenly woke up. He was also linked to his previous life, and he knew that Sim-chung was a mermaid. When Junjae got home, Sim-chung still hadn't returned. Sim-chung wandered around alone outside, thinking about what had just happened. At this time, Chi-hyun appeared. Sim-chung told Chi-hyun that she didn't want to go home. Sim-chung asked Chi-hyun to take her to the sauna to sleep overnight. Sim-chung wasn't happy in the sauna either because she had no place to sleep and was lonely. Junjae tried to find Sim-chung all night. During the day, Junjae also went out to look for Sim-chung. Somehow, the female students stole Sim-chung's bag. They accidentally turned on Sim-chung's phone, which helped Junjae determine Sim-chung's location. At this time, the female students were dividing the money when they were stopped by Junjae. Junjae only used a few basic movements to get everything back. Meanwhile, Chi-hyun had a day off, so he went to play with Sim-chung. At this time, Junjae rushed in, saw Sim-chung and immediately ran to hug her tightly. However, Sim-chung still refused to go home with Junjae because she thought he was a scammer. Junjae helplessly pretended to go home. Junjae went to the door and stood waiting, but Sim-chung still did not stop him, which made Junjae very disappointed. When Junjae thought of the man that Sim-chung had mentioned before, Junjae realized that it was him, but Junjae was jealous of himself. After that, Junjae could not bear it and ran to the sauna. Junjae wanted to come here to sleep with Sim-chung. Unexpectedly, Junjae met a bad guy. Junjae went over and stepped on his stomach. Then he lay in the middle, watching Sim-chung sleep, until Sim-chung woke up and looked at Junjae again. Sim-chung was looking at the water when someone pushed her and almost fell into the water. Luckily, Junjae quickly held her back. Suddenly, someone splashed water on Sim-chung, but Junjae blocked it all for her. Because it was too dangerous here, Junjae took Sim-chung to a drier place. A boy spilled water, which also made Junjae angry. The boy who shot the water gun was also scolded by Junjae. Junjae even held the water bottle and placed it far away from Sim-chung. Everyone here felt uncomfortable, so they came to advise Sim-chung to go home. Juna stopped by to play with Sim-chung after school. Juna's school was going to have a performance soon, but she didn't like it at all because no one came to see her perform. Sim-chung and Juna decided to write a wish and asked Santa Claus to fulfill it. On the day of the performance, Min-young took a lot of pictures of her daughter. Min-young saw Juna alone, looking very pitiful. Unexpectedly, Sim-chung dressed up elegantly and walked over to Yuna. Then Junjae and his two friends also came to cheer for Juna, which surprised Min-young very much. After Juna's successful performance, Sim-chung took pictures of her. Juna then took a photo of Sim-chung and Junjae, which made Sim-chung very happy. When the four of them were drinking together, Sim-chung made Junjae promise that he would never lie for bad purposes again. Junjae agreed and wanted to take Sim-chung to a place. Junjae told Sim-chung to wait for him for a while. Then Junjae, carrying a teddy bear, was about to approach Sim-chung, but was unfortunately caught by Officer Hong. Junjae looked at Sim-chung with regret and was taken away. While Sim-chung stood alone, Sim-chung called Junjae, but he was handcuffed so he couldn't answer the phone. Junjae begged Police Officer Hong to let him answer the phone, but Police Officer Hong didn't agree. Police Officer Hong also scolded his subordinate for not being able to catch Daejong. Junjae felt uneasy when he heard the name Daejong. Junjae wanted Police Officer Hong to uncuff him, but Police Officer Hong didn't agree. Now Sim-chung was alone, so Junjae was very worried about her. After a long ring, Sim-chung picked up the phone. Junjae could finally breathe a sigh of relief. Luckily, Sim Chung was still safe. Junjae said that he had something to do, so he told Sim Chung to go home first. Sim Chung saw that there was a taxi before, so she got in. Unexpectedly, the person in the car was Daejong. After that, Sim Chung only said one sentence: "The first snow of the season is getting heavier." Then Sim Chung hung up. Police Hong immediately called back, but no one answered. Junjae remembered their meeting place at Namsan Tower. Junjae asked Police Hong to go to Namsan. Junjae told the police to release his handcuffs. Then he asked Police Hong to help investigate the direction of Namsan. Junjae turned on the GPS tracking, but it didn't work. In the taxi, Sim Chung was unconscious due to being injected with something. The police were also blocking the car to investigate very carefully, but Daejong turned in another direction. Daejong escaped the police's encirclement. Junjae knew that the police had not caught Daejong yet, so he thought of a small road that could escape the police's control. Police Hong also trusted and followed Junjae's instructions. When Sim Chung woke up, she found herself in a strange place. Her legs were completely immobile. Daejong said he wanted to confirm a few things in her dream. He said that when she was underwater, Sim Chung became a human again when she came ashore, and she could even turn into pearls. Police Hong realized that this was the way to the abandoned Sajong hospital, so he sped there. The three of them split up and started searching. Daejong was about to pick up Sim Chung and throw her into the barrel when she said that mermaids would make people who touched them go crazy and lose their memories. Sim Chung saw Daejong confused and continued to attack. Sim Chung reached out to touch him, but he took a step back. At that moment, Junjae arrived. Daejong saw this and regretfully ran away. Junjae sadly hugged Sim Chung. When he got home, Junjae took Sim Chung to the room to rest, while Junjae went out to talk to the police. Junjae gave Police Hong a video clip which recorded Daejong disguised as a police officer. Then there were text messages. Daejong pretended to be his secretary texting Junjae to come and kill him. Junjae told Police Hong to investigate Daejong's case first, and Junjae's fraud case would be handled later. On this side, Min Young couldn't contact Nam Do, so she was frustrated. Min Young immediately turned to Mrs. So Hee and asked her to have dinner. At this time, So Hee was preparing medicine for Ju Rong. Chi Hyun stood outside and watched. He waited for his mother to leave and then sneaked in to get some medicine to take away. At night, everyone gathered to organize a Christmas party. Sim Chung came out in luxurious clothes. Sim Chung always surprised everyone. During the party, Junjae threw cake into his mouth to eat. Sim Chung saw that and was interested in doing it, and she easily did it. Meanwhile, Si Hee did not know how to do it, so she was carefully instructed by Junjae. When Sim Chung and Si Hee met in the bathroom, Sim Chung revealed that she and Junjae were in love with each other. Junjae himself said so. This made Si Hee extremely jealous, but Si Hee said that Junjae said that to every girl, Sim Chung was just one of those people. Even though she said that Si Hee was still very sad, she asked Taeo out for a drink and talk. Si Hee gave Taeo a photo of herself as a reward. Then Si Hee confided in him about her 7-year unrequited love. In the end, Si Hee cried and called to complain, making Taeo depressed. Sim Chung suddenly sat next to Taeo, making Taeo blush. Sim Chung asked him to teach him how to use the computer to look up the internet. Junjae saw them whispering to each other and became jealous. He wanted to be the one to teach Sim Chung the computer. The next day, Ju Rong and So Hee went to the hospital to get their eyes checked. They accidentally met Mrs. Yu Ran going to get medicine, but because Ju Rong's eyes were so bad, he didn't see Mrs. Yu Ran. On this side, Junjae was looking for information when Chi-hyun called. Chi-hyun said that she couldn't protect Ju Rong anymore, so Junjae should protect his father himself. Chi-hyun would protect his mother herself. This made Junjae even more worried. Junjae entered the room and saw Sim Chung waiting for him. Junjae predicted that he would continue to think and not be able to sleep tonight. Junjae went over and kissed Sim Chung on the cheek. After that kiss, Sim Chung couldn't sleep, so she went to the room to call Junjae. But at this time, Junjae was having a nightmare. Junjae woke up and saw Sim Chung sitting next to him. Junjae hugged Sim Chung tightly, as if he was afraid someone would take her away. Just now, Sim Chung heard him call Sehwa's name, so she was jealous. Sim Chung asked who he would choose between her and Sehwa. This made Junjae laugh. When Sim Chung was about to leave, Junjae held her back and told her not to go. Junjae pulled Sim Chung into his arms and covered her with a blanket. Then the two happily went to sleep. Sim Chung waited for him to fall asleep and then gently left. Sim Chung ran out to express her joy at knowing that Junjae liked her. At this moment, Sim Chung felt that everything around her was extremely beautiful. Seo Hee was now asking the lawyer to amend the will according to her wishes. She did not want to give Junjae a single penny. If this time the matter went smoothly, the lawyer would have his own office. Ju Rong did not expect that everyone in the company was bribed by Seo Hee. Ju Rong was lured by the lawyer to sign the amended will without knowing it. Sim Chung woke up early in the morning and redecorated the whole house. When Junjae asked Sim Chung what she wanted to eat, Sim Chung said she wanted to eat spaghetti because there was no no more spaghetti in the house. Sim-chung had to go buy it herself. On the way, Sim-chung happily danced. Sim-chung also kindly helped the old lady carry heavy things and helped the pregnant woman throw away the trash. Sim-chung even moved car to another place to make it neater. Police Hong called to meet Jun-jae. Jun-jae quickly went to the place where Dae-jong had disposed of the taxi the other day. Because Dae-jong had already dealt with the taxi, the police could not find any traces except for the squid. On this side, Yu-ran wanted to quit her job, but Min-young regretfully begged her to work a few more days. Se-hee immediately asked her to go somewhere with her. On the way, Yu-ran was suddenly robbed and she was lucky to have Sim-chung help her. Unexpectedly, the place Se-hee took Yu-ran to was Jun-jae's house. She accidentally met Sim-chung again. The two happily cooked while Se-hee went to visit Jun-jae's room. Unexpectedly, Se-hee discovered a photo of Jun-jae and his mother when he was young. Coincidentally, Jun-jae's mother looked very much like Yu-ran. Saya was surprised to know that she was Jun-jae's mother. Saya painfully looked at Yu-ran and Sim-chung, who were having fun together. Saya was afraid that Jun-jae would find out about her mother, so she pulled Yu-ran back immediately. On this side, Ju-rong couldn't see the road clearly, but still tried to find Se-hee, but Se-hee dodged to the side, causing him to fall down the stairs. Chi-hun saw that and immediately called an ambulance. Chi-hun also saw Se-hee calmly standing on the stairs looking down, but all of Chi-hun's worries disappeared when Ju-rong woke up and kept calling Jun-jae's name. On this side, Hong police investigated that there was a person who had been secretly treating Dae-jong for the past few years. That person was Professor Ki-won. He was the doctor that Jun-jae trusted and visited the most. Dae-jong went to the professor's room. Meanwhile, Jun-jae was being hypnotized by him to return to his previous life. Damryung was taken away by someone, and Sang-jong's gang prepared to capture the mermaid. Everything happened as they predicted. Sehwa followed the light and was caught in the net. Damryung was determined to save her because Damryung had previously helped this official in the Forbidden Palace, so he escorted Damryung back. When Sehwa was caught in the net, Sang-jong's men continuously shot arrows, injuring her. Damryung appeared just in time to stop them. The two sides fought fiercely. At that moment, Sang-jong threw a spear down. Damryung immediately jumped down to help Sehwa. Sehwa was heartbroken when she knew that Damryung was dead. She used all her strength to stab herself, so Sehwa and Damryung were reincarnated together in the next life. When Jun-jae knew about the ending of the two in their previous life, he woke up in pain. The two had promised to meet again in the next life, but when Sim-chung came and fell in love with Jun-jae, he didn't know and even made her cry. At this time, Dae-jong stepped in and heard Jun-jae's story. The professor explained to Jun-jae that although he and Sim-chung had loved each other in their previous lives, it would have been better if they had not met and loved each other. If the two of them had intentionally done the opposite, they would both have died. The professor suggested a way to change this tragic cycle, which was to let Sim-chung return to where she belonged. Jun-jae then rushed home to find Sim-chung, but could not find her. Jun-jae ran to find her and found her playing with the children. Jun-jae ran to hug Sim-chung and said he would do everything Sim-chung wanted, so the two of them started dating. They held hands and danced happily. While watching the movie, they cried together, attracting the attention of the entire theater. Thanks to that, the cleaning lady picked up some pearls. Jun-jae talked about the ending of the movie he had just watched and asked what Sim-chung would do if he died like the male lead to save the female lead. Sim-chung answered without hesitation that she would die with him. When Jun-jae got home, he immediately asked Tae-oh to increase the security system of the house so that he could see Sim-chung anytime, anywhere. Dae-jong secretly went to the professor. He asked the professor to hypnotize him like Jun-jae because Dae-jong wanted to see his ending. After Dae-jong returned to his previous life and woke up, he knew that he was not the one who killed Damryung and Sehwa. At this time, Chi-hun stood up to lead the company. Chi-hun explained to the shareholders that Ju-rong was traveling and had no intention of taking over the company anymore, so Chi-hun would temporarily manage the company on Ju-rong's behalf. Then Chi-hun visited Ju-rong to comfort him. When Ju-rong asked about Jun-jae, Chi-hun said that she had contacted Jun-jae, but in fact, Jun-jae was too busy to come. Jun-jae then visited his secretary and thanked him because whether it was his previous life or the present, he was always by his side and supported Jun-jae. Jun-jae would definitely find the person who harmed his secretary. Jun-jae then showed Dae-jong's photo and said if this person was the one who harmed the secretary, he should blink. The secretary immediately blinked. Since Se-hee knew that Yu-ran was Jun-jae's mother, she was very embarrassed. Se-hee suddenly became polite to Yu-ran. Se-hee even hugged Yu-ran. This action of Se-hee made Yu-ran confused. When Yu-ran heard Min-young mention Se-hee, she asked more about Jun-jae. Yu-ran was shocked to know that Jun-jae did not study abroad, but that he had run away from home since the 11th grade. So Yu-ran immediately went to Se-hee's house to find her. When the two met, Yu-ran asked Se-hee where Jun-jae was. Se-hee calmly said that he ran away from home. Yu-ran could not bear it anymore. She directly called called Seo-hee's name and declared that she would take back everything that belonged to her. Seo-hee waited for Yoo-ran to leave, then she ordered someone to assassinate Yoo-ran, but Yoo-ran was saved by Sim-chung in time. The car turned around and opened the window. Unexpectedly, this scene was captured by Tae-oh. Actually, Tae-oh followed Sim-chung under Jun-jae's instructions. At this time, Jun-jae met police officer Hong. Jun-jae saw the police were having difficulty finding people. Jun-jae immediately remembered what happened in his previous life. At that time, police officer Hong had helped Jun-jae, which made him feel more sympathetic towards police officer Hong. Police officer Hong told Jun-jae that the person who always treated Daejong was Professor Ki-won. Then the two went to the professor's residence to find out. Jun-jae found out that the professor was lying. Jun-jae let police officer Hong go to the car first and then went back. The professor told Jun-jae that Daejong had come yesterday to find out his fate. Daejong also said that the murderer of Dam-ryung was not him. Tae-oh sent a message to Jun-jae saying that he had lost track of Sim-chung. Jun-jae received the news and hurriedly went to find Sim-chung, but Jun-jae did not know that Sim-chung was eating with Ji-hyun. When Jun-jae saw Sim-chung with Ji-hyun, he grabbed her things and pulled Sim-chung into the house, but Jun-jae did not say anything to Sim-chung. Then Sim-chung went upstairs and her heart ached again. Maybe it was because Sim-chung had not been in the water for a long time. Hearing that, Jun-jae was worried. The next morning, Jun-jae ordered the whole family to go out, and he forbade them to come back before 7 p.m. so that Sim-chung could swim comfortably at home. Nam-do suspiciously sneaked back into the house and caught Sim-chung swimming. Nam-do approached and saw her tail. At first, Nam-do thought the tail was fake, but when Nam-do connected the clues he had, he guessed that Sim-chung was a mermaid. Sim-chung asked Nam-do to give her a cloak. Then she put it on and walked on to the shore. When Nam-do found out, he told Sim-chung to cry because Nam-do knew that a mermaid's tears could turn into pearls. Nam-do wanted to turn Sim-chung into a money-making tool for himself. Sim-chung also pretended to agree with him, but she shook Nam-do's hand and erased all the memories just now. After eating, Sim-chung pulled Jun-jae out and asked him how long he would be angry with her. Sim-chung said that even if he asked 1,000 times, she would only have one answer, because a mermaid's heart can only love one person. If that person leaves her or dies, her heart will stop beating. Sim-chung asked Jun-jae when she knew she had liked him. Jun-jae said that he remembered everything. Jun-jae said that it was also true that she would die if he died. Sim-chung's danger was not Daejong but Jun-jae. Jun-jae unconsciously avoided Sim-chung's touch. This made Sim-chung heartbroken. Sim-chung cried so much that pearls scattered on the floor. Because Jun-jae wanted to answer Sim-chung's questions, he took her to the museum displaying his photos. Then Jun-jae told about their tragic love story in their previous life. Dam-ryung and Sehwa lived happily, and she even gave birth to adorable children. Jun-jae also showed Sim-chung a ceramic vase with a painting of the two of them under the sea. Sim-chung wondered why such a beautiful love story turned into a nightmare. After hearing that, Jun-jae didn't know how to answer. Jun-jae tried to change the subject and said that no love could last. At night, Sim-chung wanted to erase the shameful memories of herself, so she pressed Jun-jae down to kiss her, but failed. Jun-jae escaped and ran away. Finally, Jun-jae wrapped himself in a blanket, leaving Sim-chung helpless. Sim-chung had to promise that she wouldn't do anything, and then Jun-jae let her sleep with him. The next day at Jun-jae's house, everyone talked about a woman named Choi Ji-woo. She had a complicated relationship with Daejong. Nam-do felt scared while investigating. Choi Ji-woo's relatives all passed away one by one, but the time and place of death were very clear, which helped Choi Ji-woo get all the insurance money. Ju-rong was discharged from the hospital today, so Seo-hee escorted him home. Seo-hee introduced her to her new secretary, Jo-man, but Ju-rong couldn't see him clearly. When Min-young knew that Yoo-ran was Ju-rong's wife, Min-young's attitude changed. Min-young changed the way she addressed Yoo-ran to be more intimate. Min-young also told Yoo-man not to do anything and to stay here like it was her home. Min-young was determined to help Yoo-ran regain her position. Sehee was bored, so she invited Tae-oh to go to a nightclub. Then Tae-oh brought Sim-chung and Nam-do along. When everyone saw how beautiful Sim-chung was, they immediately praised her and watched her every move. Nam-do was dancing when Jun-jae called. When Jun-jae found out that Sim-chung was also at the nightclub, he was surprised. Sim-chung saw that the place was bustling and happily danced, but Jun-jae came to pull her away. As a result, they encountered rain. Sim-chung was sad because she couldn't walk in the rain. Hearing that, Jun-jae ran to find an umbrella and boots for her to walk with him. At the hospital, when the secretary's wife was leaving, Ji-hyun approached the key secretary and asked how much information he knew about his mother. Ji-hyun saw the secretary's expression change and immediately revealed his evil nature. Ji-hyun wanted to eliminate the secretary from this world, so he snatched the secretary's breathing tube. Yoo-ran contacted the secretary's wife to ask for Jun-jae's phone number, so the wife turned back to look for her glasses. Unexpectedly, at this moment, the alarm sounded. Ji-hyun was confused when Jo-man pulled him out. The wife saw the doctor running into into her husband's room, and she also ran after him in panic. While Yu-ran was waiting for the secretary's wife's phone call, Sim-chung called and invited her to his birthday party. At first, Yu-ran wanted to refuse, but when she knew that Sim-chung was an orphan, she was moved and agreed. Everyone prepared Sim-chung's birthday together. Jun-jae went to buy flowers. Unexpectedly, Sim-chung's beggar friend also came, which caused Nam-do to have a mental breakdown. Sim-chung quickly went out to pick up Yu-ran. The two happily walked together. Jun-jae was on the other side of the street, always watching Sim-chung. At the intersection, Sim-chung recognized Jun-jae. When Sim-chung called Jun-jae's name, Yu-ran was very surprised. Yu-ran immediately said that she also had a son named Ju-jae, but they were separated and could not meet again. Hearing this, Sim-chung also understood and conveyed her thoughts to Jun-jae. That helped Jun-jae know that Jun-jae's mother, who had been missing for 10 years, was right in front of him. The mother and son looked at each other without blinking. All the longing was shown through their eyes. Yu-ran ran to hug Jun-jae tightly. Their mother-son relationship had not changed at all. The two made an appointment to meet privately to talk. Ju-jae said that he ran away from home because he missed his mother. But when he saw Yu-ran healthy like this, he was very happy. Jun-jae looked at his mother, crying, and carefully took a tissue to wipe her tears. At this moment, Jun-jae felt that his mother was so small. Jun-jae just wanted to hug his mother every day to his heart's content. Everyone was very happy to know that Jun-jae had found his mother. Then the whole family sang a happy birthday to Sim-chung. Sim-chung was about to blow out the candles, but Jun-jae said that she had to make a wish first. Unexpectedly, Sim-chung said directly that she wanted to live happily with Jun-jae forever. Everyone was about to cut the cake, but Sim-chung wanted to light the candles again to celebrate Jun-jae and his mother meeting again. When Nam-do announced that Jun-jae had found his mother, Se-hee collapsed on the spot. Every party will end and everyone will return to their homes. The rest of the people talked together. Suddenly, Nam-do asked about Yu-ran's high school friend, Choi Ji-woo. After hearing the name, Yu-ran's expression immediately changed. She said that person was So-hee. Nam-do said that they were investigating a murderer named Dae-jong, and Choi Ji-woo had a relationship with him. While Nam-do was speaking, Jun-jae stopped him. Se-hee was standing outside the door. Tae-oh came back just in time, so Se-hee pulled him out to drink with her. Se-hee confided that she actually knew that Yu-ran was Jun-jae's mother, but Se-hee had treated Yu-ran very badly in the past, so she wanted to save this relationship before telling Jun-jae. Because Tae-oh understood Se-hee's one-sided feelings, he advised her to let go of her feelings. On this side, Jun-jae immediately provided information to Hong Police. Jun-jae said that So-hee was Choi Ji-woo. Hong Police deduced that So-hee might have ordered Dae-jong to attack Jun-jae, but her purpose was unclear. When Jun-jae remembered Chi-hyun's hint, he immediately thought of the inheritance issue, but Hong Police did not believe it. On this side, the secretary was lucky to survive the danger. The doctor considered this a rare feat. At that time, in the secretary's dream, he saw the two killers of Dam Ryung, Chi-hyun and Nam-do, in the present. On this side, Tae-oh took Se-hee home. When Se-hee was about to fall, Tae-oh caught her. Tae-oh said that he would suppress his feelings for Se-hee. At the same time, he encouraged her to express all her feelings to Jun-jae, no matter what the outcome would be. Sim-chung forced Nam-do to tell him everything about So-hee and Dae-jong. Sim-chung found out that Chi-hyun was their son. Sim-chung then took Yu-ran to her bedroom. When Sim-chung saw Jun-jae's gift, she was very happy. Sim-chung was even more excited when it was a pair of shoes and cotton. Chi-hyun was at the company when Jun-jae came to see her. Chi-hyun told everyone to go outside so the two could talk. Jun-jae asked where his father was. Chi-hyun still insisted that he was traveling, but Jun-jae couldn't believe this. He retracted his previous words and left. Hong Police immediately investigated. There was no record of Ju-rong leaving the country in the past 6 months, so he was definitely still in the country. Jun-jae called Nam-do to prepare a plan. Sim-chung overheard and wanted to help. Yu-ran asked Min-young to help her lure So-hee out. Although she was very smart, Min-young thought of a way. After Nam-do went to investigate, he knew that So-hee's family was very satisfied with the extermination of cockroaches, so he and his teammates disguised themselves as employees of the pest control company. They waited until evening when So-hee went out and immediately took action. Police Hong worriedly gave many instructions. Entering the house, everyone did their own tasks. Jun-jae stopped to look at his previous house. Sim-chung's task was to ask Chi-hyun out to eat to keep him. Tae-oh's task was to hack camera system. Nam-do attracted the attention of the maid so that Jun-jae could enter So-hee's room to investigate and install a wiretap. Then Jun-jae sneaked upstairs to find Ju-rong. Jun-jae was heartbroken when he saw that his father couldn't see anything clearly. Jun-jae spoke up to let Ju-rong know that the person coming was his son. The maid was suspicious when she heard the noise. Jun-jae helped his father walk, but he refused. Jun-jae said that So-hee had made his father's eyesight worse, but Ju-rong thought that Jun-jae wanted to harm his stepmother. Ju-rong still thought So-hee was very gentle, and his eyes only needed surgery. When Jun-jae told all of So-hee Hee's crimes. Ju-rong said that his son was a scammer outside, and now Jun-jae was back to scam him. Jun-jae was surprised when he heard that. When the maid heard a loud noise upstairs, she immediately called Chi-hyun. Chi-hyun then realized that she had been tricked by Sim-chung. After Chi-hyun left, Dae-jong appeared. He carried a hammer and approached Sim-chung. Unexpectedly, Jong used the hammer to destroy the fire protection system above. Water sprayed out, forcing Sim-chung to run away. Then there was a thrilling chase between Sim-chung and Dae-jong. Sim-chung waited on the top floor and pulled Dae-jong out. Sim-chung decided to erase all of Dae-jong's memories. Unexpectedly, Sim-chung accidentally saw the end of herself and Jun-jae in her previous life. When Sim-chung found out that Jun-jae had deceived her again, she felt very disappointed. Dae-jong was confused and didn't know who he was. Sim-chung intended to turn him into a fool and put him in jail. But when Sim-chung saw those sad memories, her heart ached. On this side, Jun-jae had no other choice. He only begged his father to believe him once, and Ju-rong and Jun-jae should leave this dangerous place. But Ju-rong refused to go. Jun-jae looked helplessly at Ju-rong and left. After finishing, the three of them quickly retreated. At this time, Ju-rong sat alone in the room crying. Meanwhile, Sim-chung returned home alone. She looked at the house and thought about the happy days with Jun-jae here. She regretted it and decided to leave. When Chi-hyun returned home, she immediately went to question Ju-rong. But Ju-rong hid everything. Tae-oh gave all the stolen documents to Jun-jae. Tae-oh confirmed that Ju-rong's will stated that So-hee and Chi-hyun inherited all the property. Jun-jae gave a box of small needles and the medicine he had taken to police officer Hong. Jun-jae suspects So-hee used it to harm his father. Moreover, So-hee's room is full of strange flowers. Nam-do knows at a glance that it is aconite. Police Hong said that there were assassinations using this flower a few years ago. Police Hong will try to get a search warrant as soon as possible. So-hee goes to find Dae-jong and knows that he has completely lost his memory. At home, Jun-jae enters the room and hears Sim-chung playing loud music. Jun-jae goes upstairs to turn off the music and check if she is okay, but Sim-chung coldly chases him away. Jun-jae sadly goes to the living room to sleep with Nam-do. While in the car, So-hee knows that Dae-jong has lost all his memory. So-hee takes advantage of that moment to make Dae-jong think that Jun-jae is her enemy. When So-hee gets home, she counts the medicine and finds out that it is missing. So-hee asks the maid and knows that yesterday an exterminator came to the house. Then So-hee brings the medicine in for Ju-rong to drink. When Ju-rong thought about So-hee's two previous husbands dying from blindness, he took the cigarette wrapper and threw it in the trash. Unexpectedly, So-hee saw it all. At night, Ju-rong had trouble sleeping, so he went out. He accidentally heard the conversation between So-hee and Dae-jong. At the same time, police Hong outside also heard it. Ju-rong was shocked when he knew the truth. Ju-rong accidentally made a noise that So-hee heard. So-hee went out to look around but didn't see anyone. She was about to go in when she saw Ju-rong hiding behind the glass. Ju-rong went upstairs to turn off her phone and hid it under the bed. At this time, So-hee brought him the medicine. Then she said that she had something to do and needed to go out. Ju-rong still used the cigarette wrapper and threw it in the trash, but Ju-rong didn't expect that So-hee had poisoned the glass of water. So-hee asked Chi-hyun to eat out in a crowded place to create an alibi, but Chi-hyun immediately had a bad feeling, so he politely refused and went straight home. Ju-rong quickly had a heart attack. Ju-rong tried to reach for the phone to call Jun-jae, but Jun-jae was in the living room investigating, so he didn't know. While Ju-rong was dying, he had to express all his feelings through a voice message. Jun-jae entered the room and saw his father's apology through a voice message. Jun-jae immediately drove home. When he arrived, he saw an ambulance in front of the gate. The staff carried Ju-rong's body in front of Jun-jae. Jun-jae confirmed that his father had passed away forever. At this moment, Jun-jae felt extremely hopeless. He knelt down in pain. He still couldn't accept this cruel reality. A few hours ago, when Chi-hyun anxiously ran into the room, he heard Ju-rong's last message to Jun-jae. After Chi-hyun confirmed that Ju-rong was dead, he processed the poison before calling the ambulance. After that, Chi-hyun pretended to be sad and cooperated with the police to investigate. When the police asked So-hee, Chi-hyun said she had left home 2 hours ago. When Chi-hyun went out and met Jun-jae, Jun-jae immediately rushed to hit Chi-hyun several times. Jun-jae even threw the police away. Jun-jae was furious because he thought that Chi-hyun and his mother were the ones who caused Ju-rong's death. Jun-jae continued to attack frantically. Only when police Hong arrived did Jun-jae calm down. He regretted wondering why he didn't act sooner. Then the three of them went to the hospital with Sim-chung. When Sim-chung saw Jun-jae sitting on the ground alone, she slowly approached and hugged him. At this time, Jun-jae could only cry. He asked Sim-chung to help him erase all these painful memories, but she couldn't do so because he still loved his father very much. So he quickly arrived at the hospital. She began to act out her suffering in front of everyone. After that, she cried until she fainted and was taken away by Chi-hyun. Then Yu-ran also went to the hospital. She didn't expect Ju-rong to pass away so suddenly. immediately. Yuran blamed him for treating her like a stranger at the hospital. After Junjae heard, he knew that it was because his father couldn't see clearly. Junjae said that Jurong had a retinal injury, so he couldn't see Yuran. So he had just fainted, but now she was calm again. She called the lawyer to announce the will. Jihyun closed the curtains and asked her if she was the culprit. So he admitted and told Jihyun that if everything was exposed, Jihyun would definitely deny the crime. Jihyun went out and met Namdu. Jihyun asked Namdu out and threatened him. Namdu was different from Junjae. He was the type of swindler who didn't care about both good and bad people, so Jihyun could easily put him in jail at any time. Namdu was scared, so he immediately agreed to Jihyun's request, which was to kill Junjae. The doctor finally concluded that Jurong's cause of death was a stroke. Hong police got a search warrant and immediately searched his house. However, even though the police searched the whole house, they still couldn't find what they were looking for. During the funeral, Yuran went to burn incense, which confused So-hee. Then they met in the bathroom. So-hee used insulting words to Yuran and Ju-jae, which made Yuran angry and slapped So-hee in the face. So-hee was about to slap her back when Sim-chung appeared. Sim-chung grabbed So-hee's hand and entered her memory. Sim-chung knew about So-hee's motive and behavior in committing the crime. Then Sim-chung and Jun-jae went home to investigate. As in Sim-chung's memory, she went down to the basement. Sim-chung opened a secret door leading to a room, which was where Daejong used to live. They saw evidence that So-hee had disposed of there. Then Jun-jae immediately led people to arrest So-hee. Sim-chung asked Jun-jae about the loop from her previous life. When she erased Daejong's memory, she accidentally saw the face of the person who killed her and Jun-jae in her previous life. It was someone they both knew. The lawyer told So-hee to stay silent or pretend to be sick. She just needed to get through the 48 hours to succeed. Even though police officer Hong tried everything, he could not get So-hee's statement. When Jun-jae went out, Namdu nearby told Jihyun that he decided to kill Jun-jae tonight. At 5 o'clock the next day, So-hee calmly walked out of the police station and was completely innocent. When Jun-jae went to the parking garage, Namdu suddenly attacked him from behind, leaving him immobile. Tae-oh watched camera and witnessed this scene. Tae-oh was scared and told Sim-chung. The two of them hurriedly followed the location. Jun-jae was taken to an abandoned warehouse by Namdu. Namdu tied Jun-jae up and injected him with poison. So-hee told Namdu and Jihyun to go out. She admitted all her crimes and laughed. Jun-jae also suddenly laughed loudly, surprising So-hee. The phone rang from somewhere. Police Hong also didn't want to hide anymore. The other policemen also went out to catch the criminals. It turned out that it was all just a play. It was just that this time Jun-jae was smarter than So-hee. He was satisfied to see So-hee being taken away by the police. The police then also came to control Jihyun. He went crazy and pulled out a gun and aimed at Jun-jae. Fate was always like a dream, except this time Sim-chung took the bullet for Jun-jae. The police quickly controlled Jihyun. Jun-jae was shocked and couldn't accept the truth. One after another, people left him, all the way to the hospital. Sim-chung just begged her not to leave him alone. Jihyun remembered that the poison she gave Namdu still had a box in his pocket. Jihyun pretended to go to the bathroom and drank it. Sim-chung was taken to the operating room. Jihyun was receiving the investigation when he was poisoned and fell down. Meanwhile, So-hee was still arguing with police officer Hong. A police officer rushed in to report that Jihyun had died from drinking poison. So-hee heard the bad news and rushed to her son. In the dying moment, Jihyun said that So-hee being his mother was like a curse. Jihyun immediately passed away. At the same time, the three people anxiously waited for Sim-chung to have surgery. At this time, Namdu reported that Jihyun had passed away. Jun-jae felt disappointed after hearing that Jihyun had still shirked her responsibility. Sim-chung was finally taken to the recovery room. When Jun-jae asked about the surgery, the doctor said it was a miracle, even though everything was too strange because everything about Sim-chung had recovered normally. Then Sim-chung also woke up. Jun-jae immediately went up to ask her if she was in pain. Jun-jae also said that if Sim-chung did not wake up, he would die with her. Jun-jae was moved and thanked Sim-chung for coming back to him. Namdu left after hearing that. After the trial, So-hee was taken to prison. Many reporters and people watched. After Daejong watched So-hee on the screen, he took the initiative to meet Professor Ki-won. The professor immediately contacted Jun-jae. Immediately after that, the professor hypnotized Daejong. He returned to his dream on New Year's Day. Sangjong and Hongjong asked Master Chan to help him read his fortune. Sangjong's fortune was extremely bad. He was struck by lightning, but his soul refused to be released. Hearing that, Sangjong was extremely worried. At night, he and Hongjang escaped, but they were stopped by Namdu's men. Namdu was the son of the merchant who died on the beach. Namdu drew his sword and cut Sangjong's neck. Namdu not only avenged his father, but also avenged Dam Ryung. After that, Namdu forced Hongjang to drink poison made from aconite flowers. When Daejong woke up, he finally knew his purpose in life. Daejong knew that the the professor was Miss Chan. He knew everything but remained silent and silently observed. Daejong went crazy and strangled Professor. Luckily, Junjae appeared in time to stop him, otherwise the professor would have been murdered. The police also arrived in time to control and take Daejong away. Daejong also stared at Namdoo because he had killed Daejong in his previous life. Junjae disguised himself as a doctor and deleted all of Sim-chung's medical records. After that, Junjae took Sim-chung home. At night, Junjae found a reason to sleep with Sim-chung, but she refused. The next day, Min-young and her husband sent Yu-ran home, but she did not invite them in. Min-young and her husband thought of many reasons to enter the house. They did not think they would see director Kim Jae-hee again. Sim-chung had to make an appointment to talk privately with Min-young and her husband. When they left, the two completely forgot about them. Namdoo found this very miraculous. He even wanted to take Sim-chung away from Junjae. This made Junjae angry and chased after Namdoo. Junjae did not notice that Sim-chung suddenly had a heart attack. For many days in a row, Sim-chung also had a heart attack. Sim-chung lost all her vitality, making Junjae heartbroken. Junjae decided to enjoy a last romantic evening with Sim-chung. Sim-chung also knew Junjae's intentions, so she put on a lot of makeup. Although Junjae loved Sim-chung very much, she became more and more haggard, and he could not help her. That made Junjae even more hurt, so he put the bracelet back on her. He decided to let go so that Sim-chung could return to the sea. Junjae hugged Sim-chung from behind and begged Sim-chung not to erase his memories of her. He wished he could remember Sim-chung and continue living, but Sim-chung thought that Junjae would suffer, so she decided to give him a kiss to erase all his memories. Then, Sim-chung also erased the memories of the people around her. Sim-chung went to meet the precious friends she had. Sim-chung shook their hands to erase her memories. She wanted to completely disappear from this world. Then Sim-chung went to the beach to watch the waves. Sim-chung hesitated for a while and then jumped into the familiar ocean. 3 years quickly passed, but nothing had changed. It was just that Junjae always felt like he missed someone. Junjae took the law exam and wanted to be a prosecutor. Junjae did not expect that the place he interned was the office where he used to swindle. However, his skills were really good. Sometimes after work, Junjae would go out to eat with police officer Hong. Namdoo also switched to being a famous lecturer. Deep under the ocean, Sim-chung had recuperated and fully recovered. It's time for Sim-chung to continue looking for his love. At this time, a shipper guy is delivering goods. He wonders why the address is on the beach. A hand suddenly reaches up to take the bag. At this time, in the bathroom, a woman in a suit is drying her hair strangely. It turns out that this is the mermaid Sim-chung. At that moment, a bus passes by. Sim-chung quickly gets on the bus and goes to Seoul. At this time, Sim-chung sees a girl staring at the fish tank. Sim-chung feels sympathy and decides to invite her to eat. Then the girl confides that she came here because of a man. Sim-chung immediately asks that person if he loves the girl, but the girl thinks for a moment and then shakes her head. Sim-chung then goes to Junjae's house. The person who opens the door is Namdoo, but because Namdoo's memory has been erased by Sim-chung, he doesn't know who Sim-chung is. At this moment, Yu-ran had just returned and invited Sim-chung into the house for a drink. When Sim-chung entered the familiar house, she could not contain her emotions. Sim-chung skillfully took the paper under the table, and Sim-chung ran to the bathroom without anyone showing her the way. At this time, the first snow of the season also began to fall. Everywhere were memories of Sim-chung and Junjae. When Sim-chung saw that Junjae was living very well and comfortably without her, Sim-chung sat down and regretted coming back here. At this moment, Junjae came over with an umbrella. He held out his hand for Sim-chung to hold. Sim-chung asked why he still remembered her. In fact, he had recorded every moment with Sim-chung in his diary. Junjae went everywhere and found a beach house for the two of them. Sim-chung and Junjae hugged each other for a long time in the cold snow. After that, Sim-chung was able to return to the familiar attic. Sim-chung wanted to kiss Junjae, but Junjae thought she wanted to take away his memories, so he avoided her. When Junjae wanted to kiss her, Sim-chung refused. Time passed quickly. Sim-chung and Junjae finally got married. Sim-chung was studying for her university entrance exam at that time, but Junjae made her go to sleep. Junjae had passed the law exam at that time, and he decided to move with Sim-chung to the seaside. Sim-chung was pregnant with her first child and ate a lot. The two were always together and did not want to be apart. Above is the entire content of the movie. Thank you everyone for watching. Goodbye, and see you again.